universe is vast and mysterious. It contains all that ever was or will be. It's nothing short of a profound mystery that in this limitless sea of space, life has emerged at all. But emerge it has. Somewhere, in a little warm corner of an ordinary galaxy, there is a tiny blue planet suspended in the black of space. This minuscule world is home to a peculiar life form called human. We are about to take an extraordinary journey, a journey that will revisit some of the age-old questions as they are reconsidered in the light of new discoveries that seem to defy logic and common sense. We will hear from some of today's most illuminated minds. Scientists, philosophers, authors, artists, and even children will share with us their perspectives as we join forces in our quest to understand ourselves. Perhaps these new discoveries will help us to find an answer to the most enduring question in our history. Who are we?
Who am I? Ooh, that's hard.
I am, boy, you got me stumped. I have to think about that a little bit.
If you were to lose your memory totally and one day wake up in a hospital room and you had no memory whatsoever, there would really be no recollection of your past. There would be no recollection of the person that you actually thought that you were. Where is the you that you, up until that moment, you were so sure that you were? The only thing we could really know for sure in that moment, beyond a shadow of a doubt, from direct experiences, I am. By asking ourselves the real question as a beginning point, who am I? Who am I really? Am I this body? Am I my name? Am I my identity? Am I my age? We can never really know anything about ourselves for sure. And yet, through society, through conditioning, through time, it's as though we've become set and sure in terms of who we are and who we think we are. But I like to say that it's often just a story.
So what if somebody has hurt you? So what if your parents treated you bad as a child? Let it go, release it. We don't need it anymore. It's time to move on. Let go of all the things that'll hold you back. Forgive the people, release them, and then let go of fear.
Who am I? That really is, in the end, the only question that matters, the only question there is.
It's the main question. In ancient teachings, it's the main question. Who are you? In the mystery school tradition, every door you came to said, know thyself on top. it's crucial for life.
Who among us has not looked up at the night sky at some point in our lives and said, wow, what is this? What's going on here? Who am I in relationship to this? Who am I? Who am I?
The real purpose of why we're here is to realize, to remember, to recognize who and what we really are.
Who are we? We have learned much about who we are, and the discoveries made in our search for our true nature have been the most startling of all. Imagine being the first person to realize that each one of us is made of billions of separate living cells with their own lifespan and function, and that illness is often a war taking place between opposing armies of cells. Discoveries like these have illuminated our understanding of who we are and how the universe is constructed.
It used to be that science thought that matter was it.
It is obvious that the atom is made out of some 99.99999% space.
Now they're starting to discover that more than the matter, it's the fields of energy.
Everything is a hologram. Everything is an illusion. Matter doesn't exist. It's pure energy.
Everything around us is energy. Look at your hands. It seems solid, but really, it's like a bunch of atoms vibrating at such a high speed that it feels solid.
Nothing in the matter exists, only energy. Your mind is only energy.
Maybe we should look at the vacuum if we're looking for the source of reality.
So really, when you look at a wall, it may feel solid, but if it weren't vibrating at such a high speed, it could be as easy to pass through as just a wall of feathers.
See, that's a way of saying in quantum physics, nothing in the matter exists, only energy. Your mind is only energy. You're in a sea of energy. And so the practice allows you to experience that quantum field of knowledge and information that the common person can't access. But the Taoists, who are quite intelligent and genius, found a way to tap into it.
The Fibonacci sequence is a really interesting phenomenon because it shows us a pattern, a sequence of development and growth.
Everywhere you look in creation, for instance, the relationship of the upper part of your finger to the second part of your finger.
You can see it in the spiral of a galaxy.
Or the relationship of your fingers to your hand.
Spiral of a shell.
Or your hand to your forearm.
A flower.
Or your arms to your body. You would find that the phi ratio is everywhere.
In that Fibonacci sequence, there is this ratio that emerges, this proportion.
1.618 and etc. to infinity.
That is called the golden mean, or the golden ratio. And that golden ratio is something that you can see throughout nature. That Fibonacci sequence also relates into music and harmony, and the same principles that govern harmony in music are the same things that govern harmony in the process of creation. How it relates to us is that our bodies are filled with this golden mean proportion.
All of your nervous system, all of the veins and the arteries that you're made of.
We are like the quintessential golden mean in terms of how our bodies are developed.
The phi ratio is everywhere.
This is showing us our connection to nature and our connection to the harmony of the universe.
The phi ratio is everywhere.
While science has expanded our awareness of the vast cosmos around and within us, it has also revealed to us the extreme complexity and beauty of the natural world. Nature cannot be thought of as something that we can observe or experience because, in fact, we have now come to the understanding that we are nature. This is not some sort of New Age dogma or eccentric point of view held by a few naturalists and extremists. It has become more and more commonplace for all of us to realize our connectedness to the natural world. We have all heard of global warming. We have all heard of the alarming disappearance of coral reefs and kelp forests throughout the world. Science has rung the alarm, and humanity is listening and responding. We will discover that as we walk down the path of self-discovery, we will find the understanding of nature is key if we are to discover the true essence of who we really are.
Step into nature's mind and allow nature to speak its intention through you. When you ask nature why it is doing what it is doing, it will tell you.
Nature is the beauty of this symphony we came down to partake in. In nature, everything is there. Everything is vibrating, moving, living, breathing, and communicating.
Once you start realizing it is a great power, you can communicate with it, you can connect with it. Anything as simple as just walking through a garden, seeing the flowers, touching the trees, watching a beautiful sunset, watching the waves come in and caress the beach. When you open up to this, to the beauty that's all around us that we just too busy to see. How can anyone say there isn't a God when you can see it all around you? If the person would open up to this and start seeing it and really looking at it for the first time with new eyes, something so incredible as even a blade of grass, a flower. It is alive, and it's all part of the Creator.
We are the stewards and guardians of this planet, and up to this point, we have not acted too responsibly in holding that space.
By harming nature, by harming the planet and the ecosystem, we're harming ourselves.
Global warming, the eradication of species, I mean, the list goes on.
Why are you doing this? If you continue for a long enough time, I don't think the Earth will actually hold.
We're all intertwined, we're all part of it, we cannot exist without it.
Now is a time where humans have the opportunity to become spiritually mature, which directly equates into an emotional maturity. We must take responsibility.
If you love nature, there will be no pollution. If you love people, there will be no killing. And if you love everything, love will just be spread around the whole world.
We have seen how science has revealed a world that is so bizarre and contrary to what we observe that it seems more like science fiction than science. And now we've seen how nature and everything within it is a part of a carefully balanced system that is in fact alive and conscious. But one of the most astounding discoveries is that our reality is multidimensional. Now, what does this mean exactly? While science wrestles with the question of a multidimensional reality, some of the world's most brilliant minds have begun to piece together our place in a multidimensional reality. How many of us have ever stopped to really ponder the fact that we are made up of a massive community of separate living cells? And could it be that those cells are made up of a massive community of some other minute living organism that we have yet to discover? We can see that each of us are like cells in the body of the Earth. Do we dare consider that the Earth may actually be a cell in some other enormous living entity? Or an enormous electron inside some great unfathomable compound? Theoretical science has proposed the question: is that living thing the universe itself? And if so, how does this figure in our search for who we really are?
We are just a container. We have a whole universe inside of us. The whole world's in there, all the cells, all the organisms, everything in the body. They're all alive and they're all functioning and going about their way. All of the cells have consciousness. They're all just like we are, like individuals, only we're in the body of God. Every tiny particle has consciousness. There is nothing that is not alive. You take it down to the tiniest fiber in a rug. Within each fiber are universes. This is why it's possible to talk to the body and to heal the body, because when they hear you speaking to them and they love, the cells love for you to talk to them. When they hear that, you're the voice of God. This is part, I think, of the awakening, the enlightening, is to begin to realize what we are. We're not an individual just going to work every day and earning a living and trying to take care of family. That's basic, but we go much more beyond that. When we start realizing the power we have, we can accomplish anything.
Of all the great mysteries of science, nothing is more perplexing and enigmatic than our consciousness. How does mere matter like carbon atoms arrange itself into life and be able to see, hear, and feel the environment around it? What is the source of consciousness? And does consciousness end at death? If one is to discover who they are, it would seem that trying to understand our consciousness would be vitally important, since who we are stems from our consciousness and our reaction to the world around us. Another thing that seems certain, and that is that consciousness and intelligence are greatly linked. That is to say, the more we see, feel, hear, and experience, the more we can know about who we are.
That's what Buddha meant when he said, I am awake. You know, he meant that he realized that he wasn't one of these figures in the dream, but that he was actually the maker of the entire dream.
First you become aware. That means you know there's something out there. That's the aware, that's the path. Then we say, I'm becoming awake. I'm on the path, I'm understanding.
Perhaps who you thought you were, perhaps who you believed you've been, the dream, character, isn't necessarily really you. There is a deeper reality beyond the body, beyond the mind, that is existing as your very beingness, that is who you really are.
When someone tries to say, well, what's the highest expression of what you can attain, you'll just have to laugh hysterically because you can't explain it. That's the true thing. Can't be felt, touched, tasted, only directly experienced.
What if who you thought you were, and what if the life you were living was, in a sense, a dream?
So wake up. We've been asleep long enough as a people. And so this is our opportunity to allow ourselves and invite ourselves to wake up, be present, and love every moment that you're in. Be grateful for every moment that you're in. It's a powerful place to come from.
As who you are starts to become awakened, you begin to access your true self. And to me, that's the source of power. That's the source of aliveness. That is the source of life.
Of all the things that tie us together in our human family, one of the most pervasive is the occurrence of religion. It seems that wherever there is mankind, there is the existence of a spiritual tradition. In fact, no culture exists on earth today that does not have a tradition of a higher being. Is this a coincidence? Some have argued that mankind invented religion to fill the vast unknowns that have existed since the beginning of our history. But why then are there so many common characteristics that seem to weave a thread through all of the religions? Concepts like love, charity, and humanity seem to be at the foundation of every major religion. And then there are the uncanny similarities when it comes to the existence of a soul. If science tells us that we are space, animated by energy, is it safe to presume that we may describe this as a soul? And if so, what is the nature of this soul? Is it eternal, as all the religions claim? Again, science answers us with Einstein's discovery that all energy never ceases to exist. It would seem that spirituality, embodied in religion, deserves a serious consideration as we venture still further down the path of discovery of who we really are.
Namaste. The Hindu translation of Namaste is the divinity in me bows to the divinity in you.
All the great people, whether it's Mother Teresa, whether it's Gandhi, whether it's Martin Luther King, realized this. And those things that we might say with our logic should not have been possible to that person became possible because they realized who they were, that they were divine.
We are all here as expressions of that divine oneness that is in all things in this universe. And when we accept that divinity, a whole world of possibility opens up. And that's a really exciting thing to think about. And it's a really exciting thing to live that way, to live as God.
We collectively are all playing a part in this awakening of consciousness, as if all of humanity is reaching a certain critical mass where all of a sudden this inner knowing is starting to come forward. So we're searching. We're searching within each religion, within Christianity and Judaism and Islam too, but there's also a more eclectic kind of an evolution where people are indrawing data and information from different teachers, but yet realizing that these are all reflections of an inner knowing. And this is where the self-empowerment comes in, is when we begin to realize that the answers lie within us.
Every person is their own teacher, their own guru, their own master. They don't need anyone. They don't need to follow someone. They should follow themselves. They should be empowered to be the masters they are.
A guru or a spiritual teacher is there to show another individual what's possible. But ultimately, we are only showing that person themselves. If you see greatness in somebody else, if you see divinity in somebody else, if you see somebody being authentic, if you see somebody being loving, if you see somebody being wise, brilliant, magnificent, you're just seeing yourself.
So we've all been guided to come to this point in the evolution of our consciousness where we begin to realize that there's something to be realized. And once you realize that there's something to be realized, your realization has begun.
It seems that science, biology, nature, and even consciousness itself all allude to the presence of a higher being. But if in fact there is a higher being, a God behind reality, then is it possible to communicate with or experience this entity? Throughout the centuries, ritual after ritual has been born in an attempt to bring us closer to the divine being. From prayer rituals to human sacrifice, Nothing seemed too extreme if it could lead to a better relationship with our Creator. But why is it that every human being seems to want to communicate with this higher source? Could it be that as we venture further down the road of self-discovery, we find that true answers can only come from the source itself? In any case, it seems that the answer to the question, who are we, becomes clearer when we attempt to communicate with that higher source that all cultures celebrate in their religious traditions.
Deep within every one of us, there is a center of being that is pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure love, pure light, and pure truth. And every one of us can access that divine beingness. The best way to do that is through meditation. In fact, I don't really know any other way to do it. Because when you quiet your mind and go deep within, you will experience that perfect peace. You'll experience unbounded awareness. You'll experience yourself as limitless.
Turning your senses inwards and looking at the infinite nature of your existence, the infinite potential that you are part of.
Meditate. Go into yourself. Go into ourselves. Touch into whom we truly are. Time, space, matter is irrelevant.
Now, as you progress, you start to learn about yourself, how divine you are, the possibilities inside you that are dormant, the legends of the masters, you start to become apparent to you. You get stronger, you get healthier, more vibrant. And then he teaches you herbs to enhance your strength, or he might teach you meditations. And these meditations and herbs, whatever it may be, is to connect you with the divine inside yourself. And then that radiates out and connects with the divine outside. And at that final step, it's like the capstone at the top of the pyramid. The whole world opens up. The door, we say, we call sky eye. You see the divine truth by direct experience, which is the best way. When the body and the mind and the spirit are as one, enlightenment occurs.
Be quiet, listen. It will come to surface. And then after that, act it out. Be at your best at it, whatever that is.
Through the centuries, nothing has been more hotly debated, more passionately argued, and is in fact responsible for genocides and mass atrocities as man's understanding of the nature of God. It seems everyone feels they know who and what God is. When our race was young, there were many gods. There were gods to explain the rising of the sun, the changing of the seasons. Everything down to the gender of your child was in the hands of some unseen family of deities that ruled from an unseen heaven. Later, this evolved into a single God, but the debate raged on. Was God a loving God? Was he a wrathful God? Was he a man or a woman? Does he favor any particular religion? And if so, which one? More and more, humanity is beginning to see the folly of such debate. It seems that gradually we are realizing that such details do not matter. There's a growing movement of people who are beginning to focus on the common grounds among the religions and the humanitarian message that seems so centered on bringing us together. Some have even pushed it to a level of proposing that we are part of God. Others feel that God union can only be attained through lifetime after lifetime of spiritual evolution. In the end, it is clear that how we perceive the higher power is how we are all attempting to make sense of who we are and why we are here.
We call it the source. God is a name that we have put on it, but it all goes back to the source. The source is the beginning of everything. The first thing you have to get over is thinking that God is a man.
Because God is not really a he or a she. So if God is everything, you can't limit God to being one thing or another. It would have to be everything.
So it's like, what is that God force? The mother-father God, the mother love, the father intelligence, you know? The Shiva, the Shakti, the dance of energy. It's like, I don't know, you can put any label on it.
If anything, he would have been a woman, because woman is the creative aspect.
There's something out there that's beyond ourselves. We can't deny that. We've already seen so many scientific proof that there is something out there beyond who we are in this existence. And some people can't use the word God, so use the word that makes sense for you.
The right word to use for God would be it, but it doesn't sound so good. So instead we use the word he in the Bible, but it doesn't matter. You could use the word she just as easily.
The truth is, it's not a physical, it is not a man, or it is not a woman. It is a huge, powerful energy source that cannot be described. It is the embodiment of love. It is total love.
To me, in my aspect, God or Creator is you, yourself, your own divine nature reflecting back on itself. It's not like one being out here overlooking everybody. It's everybody who's connected together as one. It's one mind, it's one heart, it's sublime light, sublime bliss beyond description.
Everybody can directly connect with the divine. You do not need to walk one more step to find the God. God is within.
God is part of us. In the Orient, they say God is Brahma, and inside of us is Atman. Atman is what I've had described to me as a sparkle of the light of God inside every one of us.
We all have Atman. Atman is the individual soul, and the Brahman is the universal soul. How you help to reach that state of Brahman? That means we become the Brahman. In Upanishads, they say, Aham Brahmasmi. That means I am Brahman. That means I am God.
And when you add up the total consciousness of everything on planet Earth, everything in the universe, I think we come to a point where we'll be floating in a vast sea of consciousness, and we won't have to ask each other what God is. We'll just experience it.
The single thing that I would say to people if they said to me, what can I do to change? I would say, change the way you're looking at things. Bring an end to separation theology, to separation cosmology, to separation sociology. You see, separation theology is a theology that says, I'm over here and God's over there. I'm separate from God and God is separate from me. That separation theology has created a separation cosmology. That is a way of looking at things cosmologically that suggests that everything is separate from everything else. That separation cosmology has produced a separation sociology. That is a way of socializing with each other that says, I'm me and you're you. That separation sociology has produced a separation pathology. That is pathological behaviors of self-destruction. All of this disappears in the moment when we abandon the idea of separation.
You know, you're not part of it. You're all of it. And the fastest way to get back to the experience of that is to see others as being all of it. And by seeing others as being divine and whole and perfect.
Jesus, he walked around and healed people. And he said, well, this is nothing, dude. You're gonna do more than I do. That's right there in the Bible. All the masters have said that. These are just things, all the miracles that have been created. All the masters say, well, this is nothing, you're going to do more.
God is in the ocean, God is in the singing birds, God is in the flowers, God is in the cute puppies, God is in the bunny rabbits that we love.
What a rich and adventurous ride our young species has been on so far, as we struggle to understand ourselves and who we are. Our ingenuity has expressed itself in our invention of science and the application of the scientific method. We've cast our sights toward the heavens and discovered that there is an order, a symmetry, indeed a beauty to all of creation, from the most mammoth suns to the tiniest nucleus of an atom. The widespread recurrence of religion has been another important clue in unraveling the mystery of who we are. Nature itself has become a mirror in which we can examine our own complexities and the miracle of our construction. Humanity as a whole has been moved by the miraculous nature of our reality. We have seen that we are connected to not only the biology of our home, the planet Earth, but also to the entire universe. Some say that humanity is on the verge of a new dawn. It is a dawn of a higher understanding, a higher consciousness, if you will, of the awareness that we are nothing short of a miracle. And with this realization, we gradually move as a species towards a more highly evolved and harmonious relationship with ourselves and the divine, which seems to pervade everything we see, touch, and feel.
So what we need to do is get back in touch with what we really are. And the fastest way to do that is to undo the part of us which is not that. You know, that's what great spiritual systems in history have defined as the ego. The ancient Buddhist teaching is the idea that there is just one ego appearing as many, and you're it. But we look out with the body's eyes and we see all these, billions of different people out there, and we think that they're real, but that's a trick. It's a trick of the ego. It's an illusion. It's what the Hindus called the world of multiplicity. It's what the Buddhists call impermanence. It's what Albert Einstein described as an optical delusion of consciousness.
So we're all one mind. On the planet, when we see this in action, when we actually see the proof of that we are one mind, is when there's a catastrophe. Every time there's a catastrophe, everybody unites, everybody brothers and sisters.
If the unconscious mind knows that there's really only one of us here, what's happening if you're going through life, judging and condemning other people? What's really happening is that you're sending a message about yourself to yourself, and it's going to yourself. Because there's not really anybody else out there for it to go to. There's just this one ego appearing as many. And the fastest way to undo that ego is to change the way that you think about others and change the way that you think about other people. Because whatever you're thinking about them is just going to you.
We are all one. We're all part of each other. And that takes a whole different way of looking at it for a lot of people. We are all part of everything. All the people, once you realize this, there can be no prejudice, there can be no judging.
I am equal to all beings, to the greatest masters. I am the same as that being on the street who feels hopeless. I'm the same as the President of the United States. I'm the same as all beings, and we each have our own purpose. We're playing it out perfectly.
In the beginning, all the religions were the same. They all worshipped, I guess you would say, the same deity. But then they began to change it and put rules and regulations in there that were never intended. You take it back to what it was supposed to be in the beginning. It was beautiful. And this is what it was supposed to be. No division, no separating at all.
To me, suffering is when we live in the trance, when we forget who we are. It's time to wake up. And that's why asking the question, who am I, and beginning that process, to me, the question, who am I, will just begin taking you on a journey that is really why we're here. And we've bought into the story. This is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. I am my color, I am my age, I am my race, I am my religion. To the degree we attach to those stories and those identities, I say is to the degree we will end up suffering.
I believe that we're going beyond religion. Going beyond religion, we're going beyond politics, we're going beyond everything we've done so far that has not worked. Peace on earth has not been created. All of these systems have failed.
And Varanasi is a place in the Ganges where they will bring dead bodies to be burned. You will see the physical human body begin to slowly disintegrate. And what's so powerful to watch this scene, the real shock, the real reality, that I cannot just be this body. There is a something that is living and breathing and animating this body that is formless, that is timeless, that is dimensionless. Because it's so clear when you see that body burning, that who you are is so much more than that.
That essence of who we are extends far beyond this body and this life. And in fact, it's eternal. So when we ask ourselves, who am I? Don't look at your body. Don't even look at your life. Like, look deeper. Look to your essence.
This physical existence is just a rest stop. We're on a trip through eternity. We have never been born, and therefore we can never die.
In African theology, we do not believe in God and something. We believe in God as all things, so God is tangible. Let me put it this way. The drop of water in the ocean is the entire ocean. The drop of water in the ocean can choose to see itself as a drop of water finite, having its own existence within the ocean. Or it can choose to see its connectedness with the entire ocean.
As we connect with that source of inner knowing, we then also connect with that same guiding influence that is guiding everyone else and everything else in existence.
Now, the perspective we have to change, the place from which we're looking at things that we are invited to shift. We will either see ourselves as separate from everything we're looking at, or as one with it.
If the presidents and the leaders of countries on this planet today would know that they are God and know that each person in their country was God, they would not send God to war. They would not allow God to starve. They would not allow God to be punished, killed, tortured.
That single change of perspective shifts everything, alters our perception, which changes our beliefs, which fundamentally alters our behaviors, which produces a brand new experience, which creates an extraordinary new reality.
The same intelligence that's living you, the same intelligence that's digesting your food, the same intelligence that is translating everything that's being spoken right now so that your brain understands it, and that's beating your heart, and that simultaneously is functioning your body and sending all the blood cells and coordinating everything and coordinating the people in your community and the 6.5 billion people on the planet and the trees and nature and the animal kingdom and the insect kingdom and the plant kingdom. That same intelligence knows exactly how to fulfill your life.
As you get more aligned with your source and your purpose, and that spirit that's being conducted through your body is expressed through what you think and say and do, you will naturally start aligning with the confluences of spirit working through other people in other places and situations. The result of which is a synchronicity in the way you live your life, because you're now aligned with purpose.
Suddenly everything in your life makes sense. You start having all the aha moments, and you start being able to connect all the dots and realize that's why I had that experience, or that's why those people were mean to me, or that's why I had this other interaction with someone, that's why I got fired, that's why I got hired, and everything starts making sense.
The message gets clearer and clearer the more we open up and surrender to the knowing that we have a purpose.
Don't worry about what's going to happen ever, and everything will work out perfectly, because it's all going to go the way that it's going to go, no matter what you think and no matter what you worry about anyway. So why not stop wasting all that time worrying about it and just enjoy it. Don't ever worry. That's against the rules from now on.
When something looks dark, all we have to do is look through new lenses, and all of a sudden we shift our consciousness. Just like that.
We each have our own purpose. We're playing it out perfectly. If we hold on to the feeling that life is flowing through us perfectly in every moment, there can be no wrong. And in that realization, we will create our circumstances to be more and more perfect.
When one says, who am I, what am I, we can be it all. The question is, where is your deepest joy? Where is your deepest connection? And as we relax into the depth, we become all that is.
There are 3 magic words that will radically shift your life if you know them. The powerful subconscious mind that is the infinite access to all knowledge creates according to the pure word and thought, and is the power behind all creation in your life. So if our mind is so powerful, what thought or words can we give it that will change our lives and transform our world? What 3 words can we speak that will reprogram our subconscious mind in an instant? What 3 words can bring us to an awareness of peace, happiness, oneness, compassion, and self-realization? What 3 words can change the world? Is this really possible?
Who are you? It's a lot simpler than you think. We've made things so complicated. Just surrender. You'll become aware of your true self and that true nature, who you are. 3 magic words will come to you.
We as humans are God. So there's not like an actual individual God, but God is like the universe and the life and the world. So I kind of think like there's like a God inside of each of us. Statistically speaking, there are about 6 billion gods in the world.
Are you ready for the 3 magic words? Are you ready to own the power that you have within you?
But I've got time to tell you 3 words that could change everything, so listen carefully, because this is all the time I have. Here are the 3 words.
I am God.
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 And when we accept that divinity, a whole world of possibility opens up. And that's a really exciting thing to think about. And it's a really exciting thing to live that way, to live as God.
God, I feel like that's a lot of responsibility. I think it's a little bit scary. No, I don't believe I'm God. I hope not.
I am not God. I'm not in any way God or hope to be God.
God. I'm a firm believer that we're all gods on our path to enlightenment.
We are not God. We are mortal and we will die and rot, so we are not God.
I believe that there's, someone or something out there, a spirit, the creation, the universe that is in everything. I don't know, I don't usually use the word God, but it's on the same terms.
Yeah, I believe that we are all an extension of God. We are all God. We are it.
It's God. You're talking about like 3,000 years of history and human suffering and anguish and war and and joy, and that's a big thing. And I don't want that responsibility. I don't know. That's definitely don't want that responsibility. If we don't care, then we're just ignoring who we are. We're supposed to care. That's what makes us different from the animals. Responsibility, respect. God. She or he.
Yeah, I do believe that God is a he, just because the Bible says the Bible is the whole truth. I am a follower of Jesus, and I'm Jewish.
I am a soldier of God and working toward a movement to end insecurity and fear from the devil.
I think that one has to be born again through Jesus Christ to have that influence.
Honestly, I'm a Buddhist, and this is how I feel.
There's a Buddha in all of us. There's an Amma in all of us. There's a Christ in all of us. I believe it's there. I think we have all those parts. I think if you translate the term God to be the sort of life energy, then it's absolutely true. That's what sort of quantum physics talks about, that at the most base level, in fact, you and I are made of the same thing that the palm tree is made of. I know as I'm breathing that you are God and I am God. Like, I know that if something so amazing burst itself into being, that it created this earth, and it created you, and it created me, then we are like one and the same.
I am, you are, God is, they're all the same. It doesn't matter.
I believe that I am is the same as everyone else here, regardless of size, color, race, creed. I am exactly the same as you and you. By being in service of other people, making a difference in other people's lives, I make a difference in my own life. And
that's kind of what I'm about.
If I can somehow create a world, a better world in some way, I'm very fulfilled, and that's what I want to do here.
If you help one person through their life get by, then you've already accomplished that which you're here to do. It's quite simple. We're supposed to help everybody, and in turn, sometimes we need help. That's just the way it goes.
I know I am, but you know, this takes, usually you have like a few minutes, like think about this, you know.
Who am I? Wow, that's a loaded question. I am love. I am peace. I am joy. I am happiness. I am creativity. I am abundance. I am endless. I am love. I just love everybody. It's great, man. How can I go to the beer garden?
And I'm a sister, a mother, a friend, and a lover.
I'm just a person. I don't even know what a person is. I mean, really, what is a person? I don't know if I'm a person. I'm just in this body. I'm in a person body.
The concept that we're all one and we're all God is an awesome responsibility for each individual if they choose to accept that. If everybody takes responsibility as being the divine, then we wouldn't hurt each other. We wouldn't go to war with each other. We wouldn't leave people hungry. We wouldn't kick people out of their homes. We wouldn't abandon people. We would love people and we would forgive them, and we would make this the greatest planet in the Milky Way.
Who are you?
They're just races, said a million poems to you. But they're just spaces. There will be small blisses here, like love I've tasted, obscured by dreams lost in the haze. In times we've
Wake up, people. We're all one. Why would you hate someone else if they are you? You're basically saying that you hate yourself. Why would you hate someone? We're all one.
A real master, even a great master, an adult, would take the time to learn from a child. You know how I learned from a child, and I would tell them? One day I was sitting on a bus with my friends, and this was in Michigan, and I was like an adult. My heart was closed.
I remember once when I was about 6 years old, I was supposed to bring this library book back to the library, and I didn't want to do it. And so what I did was I hid it underneath a tree in my yard, and I didn't think anybody would find it. And then somebody found it and brought it to my father, and my father didn't like that. And he said, you're bringing this book back to that library whether you like it or not. And you're going to pay whatever money that they make you pay for it being overdue.
And in the front of the bus, all these adults, they're not happy. End of the day, they don't trust anybody. And this little girl was sitting there, and she stood up, and next to her mom, she's like 5 years old, and had this little doll.
And I felt terrible. I did not want to go to that library. I was embarrassed. I just felt really bad. I brought the book to the library. I went in there, I went up to the librarian, I said what I had done, and I gave her the book. And this woman looked at me and she said, well, thank you very much for bringing this book back. We didn't think that we were ever going to get this book back. And then she said, thank you very much, and you're forgiven.
And it was, I never forget this time. This was maybe that childlike nature was part of this reason I teach this way. And she got her dolly and she started rocking back and forth and singing this song. Did she care what others thought? No. And for a moment, every person in the front would turn and they look at that little girl and they smile. Why? It reminds me when I was a child. And for a moment, they did this inside. But then what happened? They went back to being an adult. What I learned, the real secret of enlightenment, awakening, is that little girl that I saw when she was 5 years old. Whenever I would get down on myself, I would think about those kids and that little girl doing that.
And I was amazed that somebody could just forgive me like that and that everything would be okay. And she didn't make me pay the fine, and she just let it go because she was so happy to have the book back. And that's when I realized that it's possible to be forgiven and that it can make people feel really good. So if you want to make somebody feel really good, including yourself, then you can do the same thing for them. You can forgive them, and it leads to all kinds of good things. Where judgment doesn't lead to fun and it doesn't lead to good things, it doesn't make people happy, it doesn't make good things happen, but love and forgiveness do. And if you always remember that, you may find that good things happen for you.
We are all God. And that's not sacrilegious to say that. We are all God because we came from the source and we are a part of it, and we will continue to be a part of it. It's a constant motion. It never stops. And when we think of it that way, our little petty problems are nothing compared to what we're really here for.
These are times of heightened consciousness. Consciousness is waking up everyone, whether we like it or not. And in this wake-up call is the awakening to oneness, the awakening to being one as with humanity, being one with all the living, and being one as planet Earth.
You contain all the answers. They're all there inside of you. You are the sacred container of wisdom. And this is why it's important to be trusting yourself, because when you can open up that sacred container of wisdom that is the truth of who you are, everything starts making sense. And then as you connect the dots of your life, you relax into the recognition that everything has been divinely guided and everything has conspired to bring you to this moment right now. It's why you're watching this film. Your heart knows it's the moment.
You hold a very special piece of the puzzle, and that the world can never be as great as it can be without your piece. So no matter what anybody ever says to you, or what you ever feel inside, know that you hold a piece that's unlike anybody else in the world, and that we need it.
Don't listen to any of them. Go ahead and do what you know you gotta do.
And then I would know it. Because when I was 6, 7 years old, I knew what I was supposed to be doing here. It was a constant urge. People all through my life have told me to grow up and be serious. And then I look at them and I think, I don't want to be like you. I like drawing and painting. And I like making people happy. And I like trying to make, grabbing a guitar and making a whole room full of people happy. You know, it's what I do. And the boring lifestyle that is offered as an alternative, I think is a trap, and it's a prison for people's minds.
if all you're transmitting is the very purest essence of your own divine nature in words and energy or whatever is required in any given moment, because you're holding the intention of impeccability and always sharing that which is for the highest good of all, and that's what's coming out of you, then universal law dictates that energy goes out, like attracts like, and that energy comes back to you. So you give it out, it comes back to you. You give it out, it comes back to you, and you end up in a really nice harmonic, a nice wave of existence of giving and receiving in a very nurturing way for everybody, including for yourself.
In India, we say that God is within all of us. So when you see a person in India, we say Namaste. Namaste means the God in me, salute the God in you. The spirituality in me, salute the spirituality in you. The light in me, salute the light in you. The Buddha in me, salute the Buddha. And we are not like this or like this, we are the same.
Wow, is that what I am? Beyond my mind, beyond my personality, beyond my ego, and the reflections that people were sharing with me about who I was. And I'd been at that stage of who am I, which is an important stage for people to go through. And when you really ask, who am I, and you want to know from the deepest levels of your being, like Socrates said, man, know thyself. Who am I? I want to know. And when you ask, you receive.
I don't know that I've changed people's lives directly. I think that people change their own lives. I think I may have been a catalyst. I think that something I may have placed before somebody may have been an invitation for them to change their own life. And if I'd been part of that invitational process, I'm very, very humbled and grateful. But I don't feel appropriate to take credit for that, but rather to be grateful for it. I think I come from a place of gratitude around that, rather than self-congratulations.
So in India, we say, we see a person and who is morose and you just sitting like that, you tell them, you just give them a smile. He or she cannot but give back the smile to you back. Or you give a person a hug. They're all shaken up and say they want to know why you hug them. Or you say good afternoon, or you say good. That means with your energy field, we can change them. They had to know that we have no agenda. See, many people they're all hiding because they all think that people are reaching them or being with them for some reason. So you got to tell them that I have no agenda. I accept you as who you are. Be you. You don't have to be changed. You don't have to be somebody else to be with me. So you have to empower the person and also give them the trust to bring the best in them. Then you can see the beautiful person coming out of that.
I'm grateful, as we all would be, if some little thing we've done has impacted another person's life in a beneficial way. How it's changed my life is it's made me more aware of everything that I think and say and do, and of the impact that we all have on so many people, and often without knowing it. So I've been more conscious of that as a result of the experience I've had.
Then to open third eye, to open spiritual abilities, is to learn the wisdom directly from spiritual fathers, mothers, high-level spiritual being in the heaven. They have great wisdom. To learn from divine directly.
I simply come from knowing, from pure knowing, from absolute awareness, from complete understanding that resides within me. And I'm very confident in that level of knowing because I am God. And so are you.